And that's when you get old, you start walking around with jaws in your purse. This is my smoothie. This is my water. I be having jaws in my purse, baby. Things I be needing, honey. I breathe, baby, come home with me. When it's cold outside, hey, dear. Oh, I gotta go, baby. Girl, you know I'm about to brag on my soaps, baby. My daughter working on my new soaps, baby. And I want to say thank you. My new good soaps, baby. But yeah, let me But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to some other people come on here. I was listening to TS Baby Mama and my song Vultures. That was our makeup song. And I'm really excited about my first day at work. So I have energy. So I want to do this video. I know all y'all come on late and catch the video out late, but I'm glad that my daughter is here passing through to say what's up and what's happening and what's going on, baby, to support her mom. That's right. But yeah. So today I just want to kind of like talk about the difference between a man, a king, and a god. Now we're living in this woke consciousness where we hear a lot of our Black brothers, and I'm going to speak mostly about, deeply melanated men because those are the ones that I have the most experience with. I have not dated a lot of Caucasian men. I have dated Caucasian people. I have not dated a lot of them, so my expertise is not with Caucasian people. I don't know if you could technically classify me as a snow bunny. I've played in the snow quite a few times, but I don't really have my degree in snowology. So I'm not a snowologist. So yeah. So I'm gonna keep this about, deeply melanated beings with negritude, who identify with the construct of manhood. Now, when we think of what a man is, we think of a man who has courage. We think of him as being a provider. We think of him as being a protector. We think of him as being the head, and that's how we've been taught to see men in this reality. But that narrative is changing. Because as women, beings who identify with the construct of womanhood become more, as they become more empowered and as they accomplish more things, then, the playing field is starting to change. Like, men is like, hey, do I really need to be opening doors and paying your rent and and doing all of these things for you when you could get out there and do it yourself, and so in a way, women seeking empowerment and to be liberated, it's threatening to, the traditional men who's always seen life in a certain way. So while manhood is this, I feel like this ever-changing thing, and manhood is kind of like on a spectrum, kind of like being trans is, kind of like being Black is. Like there's so many different shades of Black, from light skin to dark skin, all of these different variations in between. I feel like manhood is sort of like a spectrum, and I really don't want to, try to dabble into what it is. I can just say what I think it is because I don't live my life as a man. So I could suggest and give my opinions about what I think it is, but I don't live my life as a man. I'm just, giving my testimony and things that I witnessed on the outside looking in. So then there's kings. Now, this thing with the king is this person who is um making all of making all of this money and has all of this resources, or just really, really kind of like stands in a power, just kind of like know who they are, who is confident about who they are, who is confident about what they say they are. So you hear a lot of black men saying, now I'm a king, and the part about that king thing that I really just want to kind of like hit on right fast is that being a king is about, for me, when I think of what a king should be, I think of someone who not only leads, but one who also serves. That's why I'm not crazy about the word leader, because I think we got too many, chiefs and not enough Indians, and everybody want to be standing on the front row, but don't nobody really want to do the work behind the scenes. Nobody's really there to do that actual work, that service. You want to sit on the throne, you want to wave your scepter, you want to wear the crown, you want to wear the fancy clothes, you want the money, you want the shopping sprees, you want to live, you want to live fast and, and experience all that stuff, but you don't really want to put in that service. You want people to fear you rather than respect you. And so, like, a lot of times, when men throw around their word king, I have to question, what kind of king are you? Are you the type of king? Are you the colonizer king? Are you the type of king that colonizes people? Or are you truly what, our ancestors thought of when we said king, which is sort of like a chief? Are you, trying to serve? Are you out here trying to serve? Are you willing to make moves on behalf of your people? Then then there's another example of there's another example. So there's the God. Now, this is the upper level. This is where we get to the other level, the upper level, the God. Now, when we start tapping into our divine self and we start seeing ourselves as that divine, whether it's male or female, whether it's in between, whether you see yourself as a god or whether you see yourself as a goddess, however you see yourself, when you start tapping into that divine energy, I think that divine energy is about knowing when to extend grace. It's about knowing, it's about not being petty. It's about being of certain things, like just legitimately, like being above it, like that's when you start to understand other people's pain. That's when you start to see the bigger picture. That's when you start to see the pieces that other people can't see, and you're starting to put things together. And so a lot of us, we want to claim divine status and claim God status, but we're not really on that level. When y'all come on, people who watch this video, I would appreciate if you would click like on the video, because I do be on here giving like free wisdom, free knowledge. It don't cost you anything to click that like button. So that's one of the things that I want to ask you to start doing in these videos, is to start clicking like, because I notice most of my videos get over 100 views. Y'all consistently watching, click like. That's the least you could do. Like, I'm not getting paid for this. This is my therapy. I share because it's healing for me. But if you get anything out of it, it doesn't cost you anything to click like. So I'm gonna start asking you that, like to click like on the video. But anyway, yeah, when we start tapping into that divine energy, and when we start tapping into that divine energy, that's when we learn how to be gracious. That's when we learn how to be patient. That's when we learn how to be thoughtful, that's when we learn that we don't have to react to everything. We move out of that space of being so reactionary. Like, you can't claim divine status and truly, unless you're again imitating the colonizer's version of divinity, because we understand that in mainstream the gods were very petty, very provocative, very salacious. And I just don't think that energy like that would actually survive the ether. I think that if we vibrate on certain frequencies, all of that will be burned off, off. You know how water just kind of like evaporates out of a pot, or if it's excess, something on there, it starts to shrink down, and whatever's not, what's ever, um, if you're cooking something, like certain things will fall off, and then and the meat will start to shrink down because, honey, some things just can't survive that heat. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that we believe are divine traits and we believe are divine aspects, they're really not divine aspects. It just looks divine. Like, a lot of us know how to dress up and make ourselves look like goddesses and make ourselves look like gods and give off this deity energy. But if we really think back on all of these TV shows and things that we've watched with the hit messages. One of my favorite movies, or one of the favorite movies that I like to watch from Disney, is Beauty and the Beast. I love how that old witch comes in the beginning and she looks haggard and run down, and she offers the prince something, and then he played with her nasty ass and she revealed all of her splendor, honey, and she wore him out. And so we're always expecting Glinda the Good Witch, or we're expecting somebody to look all extravagant and beat out all the time. But sometimes the divine will come. They used to say that back in the day, Jesus will come like a thief in the night, and you won't know the day or the hour, and you could be talking to that entity, that spirit, and not even know it, because you're looking for the bells and the whistles. You're looking for the extra and the excess. And the divine does not need to, the divine has no points to prove. The divine, the creator, the Alpha and the Omega, God, Goddess, owes you no bells and whistles. And so when you start to truly sit in your divinity, you start to know who you are. You start to walk in that knowingness. You start to walk in that awareness. So a lot of people think because they have money, because they look powerful, because they give the illusion of power, they give the perception of power, then they feel like they are divine. But no, sweetheart, we have to separate the difference from falseness and what's real, and what's in the divine does not owe you bells and whistles. It does not, and it knows that, and it moves in that space. It moves, it extends grace. It sees the bigger picture. It knows how to let things roll off its back. And sometimes we misinterpret that for weakness because we don't have the capacity to think on that level a lot of times. So I don't want to be on this live forever. I've been on here. I just want to do a short and sweet live. I got off of work today. I want to drop these little jewels, these little diamonds, because this has been on my spirit to share. I said I'm not going to belabor this because I don't know, I want to be able to focus on other things. But when the ancestors give me something and they had gave me a few little nuggets, and I wanted to share them with people who support me. If you want to support me, my Cash App, y'all should know the word by now. It's Laylim Layler. You should know how to spell it as many times as I just said it. Like, literally. Feel free to support my art. I'm excited. I got some great things coming up, some great accomplishments in New York to say that I just got here. Me and my daughter, honey. Me and my daughter, my sister Lynn, honey, it's big things popping and little things stopping in the year of 2022. In the year of 2023, in the year of 2022. Hold on. Okay, so this is a post that I wrote today. I'm going to read a couple of posts that I wrote today. I think this one is a good one. I said the unfortunate truth is that many times when we willingly sign up to be a player in someone else's game, we indirectly accepted an expendable status. But on the other hand, if we're afraid to take chances, we are faithless. And that's not living, but merely existing. That's why it's so important to be conscious, present, and thorough in our decision making process. Experience brings about wisdom. Leilem Leiler. Now, this is the one that I really want to share with you. And I want to give this to, people who really support me for homework, people who really benefit. This is spiritual homework. If you are deeply melanated or if you possess negritude, this is a homework assignment for you because I want you to think about this. And I want people who, have a mind and who really think deeply to take some time and think about this question and try to give a response to it in the comment section about what you think and how you think we could come about bridging the gaps. Okay. And this is my Black History Month question. This is going to be the Black History Month question. So this question may come up again, but this is the Black History Month question. I often hear, and before I read it, I want to say this was also inspired by a conversation that was going on about Whoopi with the whole when Monique warned Whoopi, because Monique did warn Whoopi. Monique told Whoopi that this could be a possibility. So it got me to thinking because every time something like this happens, you start hearing the gatekeepers and those who have power in our community, basically a lot of the Black Boule members, they start saying things like, we need our own Black businesses, we need to build up Black platforms, we need to have our own, if we keep playing on their playing field, then, hence the post that I read before this. Now listen to this. I often hear talks about building up Black businesses and building up Black platforms so that we may be less censored and have more freedoms. But my question is, what good is it to build up our own if we're just going to go to great lengths to pander to those whose wealth vastly exceeds our own? If you're going to cater to the colonizer anyway, why not just work for him instead of doing all the work for him? Running a Black owned and Black empowered business requires integrity. And in order to have foundational integrity, we've got to stop promoting the idea that we have to stop centering slavery as our only point of origin in this nation because it is creating a divide that is counterproductive to our end goal collectively. And honestly, we not only do we have to stop centering slavery as our point of origin story, but we also have to stop centering Christianity. I'm not saying that we have to do away with Christianity, and I'm not saying that we have to do away with the slavery narrative, but what I'm saying is we have to stop centering it and making everybody co-sign that narrative, because as we grow more in consciousness and more information is produced, certain things are being debunked about the transatlantic slave narrative. And also, many of us are reawakening and remembering that we have indigenous and aboriginous ancestors, and that all of our direct ancestors did not come over on slave ships. And, owning that, and making space for that is not denouncing reparations. It's saying, can we have our land back? Because some of us were conquered and some of us were captured. Some of us were taken from our homelands, and some of us had our homelands taken from us. And so we need to start preparing the table to have a conversation about a greater diaspora than just the transatlantic diaspora. Like, we need to start talking about this melanin as indigenous and aboriginous to the globe, like, and just admitting that there were copper colored people here way before Columbus settled here. Like, that's a conversation that we definitely need to have. And so we need to stop centering slavery all the time, and we need to stop centering Christianity all the time, and we need to stop relying on gatekeepers and elitists to be the ones who tell the story and control the narrative. We need to create spaces and opportunities for disenfranchised and marginalized communities across the spectrum, across socioeconomic from different socioeconomic backgrounds. We need to make a space for them to come to the table. We don't, every time a Black person stands up and speak for us, it doesn't need to be somebody with a doctorate degree. It doesn't need to be somebody with a master's degree. It doesn't need to be somebody who graduated from an HBCU, because what you're subliminally saying is, Massa, I can speak your language. I's gonna talk for them. They need me to know. We don't need you to talk for us. We don't need to get on Massa level. Massa need to get on ours. It's more of us than it is a Massa. It's the 1% against the other. Why we trying to impress Massa when it's only 1% of them? I don't have to change how I talk. And that's why I'm so thankful for the career opportunity that I've been given, because I get to work in an environment that is so progressive and so forward thinking, and they're not doing it anywhere else in the country yet. But I guarantee you that in the future, harm reduction will be something that is necessary around the nation, because as we continue to be traumatized through the fault of our government that should have been checked, there should be another party. We need to do away with this. We need to do away with this electoral college vote. There's so many flaws in our political system, in our religious system. There's so many flaws, and the reason why we're not able to identify them and accurately remove a lot of them is because we have the people that are responsible for creating our infrastructure, the people who we should be holding accountable, they're not loyal to those of us who are living below the poverty line. They're not loyal to those of us who are mentally and emotionally traumatized and ill, and who are maneuvering from that space. They're not loyal to us. They're loyal to the colonizer. They're loyal to people who have resources and wealth and access that exceed their own. Their loyalty is not to us. And so when we have people who have power and position and influence, and they use that power, position, and influence to continue to pacify and placate to the 1% instead of truly being 10 toes down for the people, we continue to get this our current situation. Things continue to go on the way they've been going on. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And so we need to get some 10 toes down healers to be represented on greater and larger platforms, and not have to change and mask their trauma, not have to mask their pain that has been brought on by being a guinea pig in a capitalistic, patriarchal, white supremacist environment. You have to mask that and pretend like that's had no effect on you and come in. That's why I love what my executive director today said. If you're well, you can go home, because the people who work here, they're dealing with something and they know it. Come on now. And the world is going to need a lot more harm reductive spaces, because we're finding out what Michael Jackson said all that time ago is they don't really care about us. And the ones who are responsible for caring about us, honey, they more concerned about what Master think. They more concerned about what Master think than you, baby. Baby, they gonna tap dance for Master, honey. They went and got all that education to impress Master. You think they care about you? Chill. Not at all. So you better care about yourself. Bring these people together, honey. Get these people to come together. We could do it. We don't have to wait for anybody else. We can be the change we want to see in the world. Okay? We're all in this together. It's up to us. We can make it better. But yes, honey, I'm about to go take me a bath, honey, with my daughter's soap. It smells so good. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. She about to come out with her soap. Yeah, y'all see it. Y'all see it. My baby soap made her mama 2 bars of soap, and I needed it, honey. And baby, I feel like it's gonna give my skin some moisture in this cold weather that seemed like it be just drying out my skin. But let me light this candle so I can get ready to do my self-care and take care of myself, because I have to get up and go to work in the rising tomorrow. Amen, a woman. Thank you, God, Goddess. I light this candle, acknowledging the past, the present, and the future. It's a black candle, which symbolizes protection. I like to try to make the figure 8 symbol when I be putting my candles out, when I be putting my incense out. But yeah, we light this candle to guide home the ancestors who transitioned this realm today. All of our ancestors, our mothers who've passed on, our sisters who've passed on, our brothers, our cousins, our uncles, our gender non-conforming people who've passed on, and for people who are transitioning on physically into different places and different stations in their existence, honey. We acknowledge your transition, whether it's a physical, spiritual, or emotional transition. We just want to light this candle for all the transitions that are happening right now. This candle represents peace, courage, strength, endurance. And it is a light that reminds us that even when our ancestors move on to another part of the journey, there's a light that lives in us. And when we blow this candle out, it still exists on a plane unseen. This light burns in our hearts, our minds, and our spirits. And the only thing that can blow that out is a loss of faith and disbelief. So we must continue to believe, because the Creator never gives up on us, never turns his back on us. It is our doubts and our fears within ourselves that interfere with the signal that we receive from the divine. So I pray right now that that signal that signal grows strong within you, and that you can feel that light inside of you burning, and that you can hear that signal, and you can hear that still small voice of the divine in your mind. Even when your ancestors leave you in the physical form, you know that they're always with you. A piece of them is always with you, being carried inside of you. Amen and woman. So as we blow out this candle on the physical plane, it grows with intensity on the spiritual plane, guiding our ancestors on to the next part of the journey so that they may be prepared for such a time as this. Down that I say cool, it keeps spinning and turning in Gani Iyango Kalukalo, which means I'm a child of God goddess. And if I am, then you know you are.